I've been a fan of you for 1,000 years.
We go back farther than most of my friends. Maybe 99, 2000? Definitely when I first started writing songs.
Maybe we're enemies.
That's not, I mean, it's long We go back to Thrift Cowboy days when you were playing with Thrift Cowboys. And I was touring in a burnout Chrysler Town and Country with no air conditioning. Yeah.
And you had boot-cut jeans?
Yeah. No, those don't exist anymore. They're stuffed in the attic. That's a good place to start, I think. Probably in Texas. We'll just start where you started. That's all right.
I started in Texas playing music. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just since it's a show about songwriting, I want to sort of keep it about songwriting.
Not about my hair? Okay.
But we can talk about your hair. It's pretty good.
Kidding.
Your music has always struck me as it does have a lot of Texas in it. Like, when I think of Texas, when I think of, like, West Texas, like atmospheric, languid, but it doesn't really shy away the way, I don't know, the way Western Swing doesn't shy away from any sort of sophistication with the jazz stuff. There you have some really interesting, harmonic sophistication. Let's go with that.
Thank you. It's all by accident.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of it is, but you did go to school for it, right, as well? Or was Sewanee just writing?
Both. I didn't go to school for songwriting. I went to school because I was an instrumentalist first, not a writer. It was people like you that made me want to get better at songwriting. And I couldn't figure out a way to do that outside of reading songwriting books, which are great and everything, but it didn't really help me much because I have that tendency that you know how like when you're picking out a word for a song and the word like sort of shades everything a different way, like I don't know, like I wanted to learn what I wanted to say and be able to communicate it better as close to exact as possible for me. And so I went to school and got my master's in poetry, and that's what I did. And they're not the same thing at all, not even close. They're poetics, I think, in songwriting, but they're two different beasts. But I do think it helped me learn how to edit quickly and decide on prepositions a lot more quickly. The little tedious fights seem to slip away a little easier, not so much wrestling.
Well, I always hear the poetry in your stuff. You have you have a lot of allusions to nature in it. Just for a simple thing to go right into that, I mean, there's a lot of things on fire. There's a lot of
Yeah, I'm definitely described by my poetry friends as a naturalist. So
yeah, I believe it. I totally believe it. But there's other things that I like about some of the conversational aspect of the. But it's poetic too. Like your repetition in a lot of songs. Like what's the song? It's Slippin', right? It's where it's like it's somewhere in Mississippi. And you think no one is looking. If no one is looking, no one is looking. It's like one of my favorite, taking the repetition and having it mean something else each time.
I ripped that off of you, Cory. You should be the one having some songwriting classes.
Oh, no, you can't get classes in this stuff, right? I mean, it's all just, falling down.
I would take lessons from you on how you, because, no, for real, because you spend a lot of time, like, with, consonants, it sounds like to me,
Yeah, I like the alliteration and, yeah.
Not the letter consonants, like consonants, assonants, that type of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just obsessive, and I have to find a place to use it.
And I think it's awesome though because it makes for really fresh ideas and getting over those. You turn those cliches upside down, and that's what you do. And one day I'm gonna be just like you, except for
it's the worst goal ever. So someone was asking about that. They were wondering specific because they can hear it also the poetry influence. Wondering some specific influences or who you're reading now or anything like that.
Specific influences.
Poetry wise.
Poetry wise, I like all of the awesome ones. Elizabeth Bishop, Lorca, Octavio Paz. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And you know who turned me on to him? That was you.
Yeah, I'm big into a lot of the Spanish and Argentinian. There's a tie, he's a novelist, but Marquez, there's a reason Marquez was influenced by Faulkner. There's something to do with agricultural society facing industrial change. Anyway.
And also Dylan Thomas, who doesn't like that?
Right?
Yeah.
Under Milkwood, that stuff's great.
Yeah. And I like, there's modern ones. I like Two Strand and Simic and I really like Oliver. Oliver turned out to be good at it, and I like them.
One of the other things that I wanted to ask you about it was more like because you're just thick deep with musical theory knowledge, and I know the ins and outs of it, but I don't know. It always strikes me with punk is the same with a lot of roots music. There's a sort of myth of authenticity where everybody, especially in roots music, they want to act like they just got off a riverboat or something, and so it's
so annoying.
There's this urge to look like less about music. It's more of an outsider art thing, and your arrangements are gorgeous and surprising. You work really well with the music, either really opening up what you're saying or cutting against it in a really interesting way, and not just the sounds you use, sonics, the actual harmonic structures and things. They really can unsettle you. You could be singing something very relatively, you're like, oh, I know what this character's doing, but it's like, why is the music moving out from underneath my feet?
That's because I make niche music for small audience, and no, I think it's just because
small batch. I got small batch. Yes.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Quality stuff.
But no, my fiddle, like all fiddles, is tuned in fifths, and that is not what most instruments are tuned. So since I've been playing I started playing when I was 10, and now I'm 38. That's a long time, so I basically just know the sounds that makes, and I've been playing that since before I had a vocabulary, and I still need a better vocabulary, but I think that's why it's probably, because I lean more on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I can't play the guitar, there's already a guitar player in my house.
Yeah, there's an understatement.
I was trying to learn the guitar, and then he just yells down from the room, the upstairs room, and he says, "You need to tune that G string." And I'm just shouting, "I can't live like this."
I would watch this. I would watch this sitcom.
You would feel like it would be tense. It would be tense.
Well, you play the hell out of the tenor.
Oh, thank you. I do a little bit of that, trying to follow what you do. Only I can play Tall Green Grass or Survivor Blues. I've been asking you for chords to Survivor Blues for like years. Still no luck.
It's all of them. It's just all the chords. They're just one at a time, just one in a row.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I always enjoyed watching the sort of the natural progression of your music, because you do whatever the fuck you want to do. You have since day one, and you continue to do that. And it's been really fun watching your music go from start
Fiddle music to songwriting.
Well, no, not just fiddle music. No, it's always been songwriting that you're putting out the records. Actually, let's go back to the fiddle thing, because there's one thing that not a lot of people know that I always thought was like the best thing in the world. You can go into the Grand Ole Opry and say whatever shitty mayor y'all have now. Now that you don't have a good one. Say he's sitting there on the row reserved for the Texas Playboys, and you can say, "Excuse me, you're in my seat.
Yeah.
You're a Texas Playboy, and you get to tell somebody to get up in the Opry," which is one of the coolest things I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I could. I don't ever get to go to the Opry though.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually,
How did that come?
usually somewhere.
How did that come about? Playing with the Texas Playboys of all.
When I was luck mostly. Let me grab my drink. I started. I was taking violin lessons from this man named Lanny Field in Lubbock, Texas, and then I was getting real bored. And luckily, I had the kind of teacher that that saw musical talent even when I didn't see it. And he's like, "Why do you only like certain passages of this music? It was classical, you know." And I said, "Those are the good parts. I don't care about those boring, shitty parts." And so I was starting to give up because I was like, I don't want to play that. I love playing it still, but I felt at that time I felt like it wasn't expressing anything and for me or doing anything except the parts I liked. And he was writing down fiddle music from Frankie McWhorter, who was an old cowboy and ranch foreman and member of the Texas Playboys, and he learned from the first recorded fiddle player, Eck Robertson. And so anyway, he was doing all this like what's the word? Writing down music. That's usually oral.
Transcribing, yeah.
Yeah. So he was doing that with these guys, and he said, "Let me play you one of these songs." And so he played it. Spanish two-step for me, and I was like, "That's my people. I want to play this music." And so he gave me that music, and then he told me that he goes down there and learns, you know, in the oral tradition, and then records it and takes it home and writes it all out. And so I told my mom after I got done with that lesson that I was a fiddle player now, and I didn't want to do classical music ever again. And she said, "How about this? How about you keep doing the violin, and then you can also do fiddle?" And
the old compromise.
Yeah, the old compromise, and it worked. And then before you know it, she's driving me to Turkey, Texas, home of Bob Wills, and I'm sitting on the porch with Frankie McWhorter during the weekend, learning, you know, the song that came before Faded Love, which was Forsaken Lover, and all these other songs, and learning them that way. And then a little while later, I met Tommy Alsop, who was living in Snyder, Texas at the time. He ran Liberty Records and did lots of producing here in Nashville, and he asked me to come play at a show, and if I wouldn't mind taking the third part. And I said, no problem, because the third part's the low one that rarely changes. And but I also had to memorize the other parts, so in case somebody didn't show up or, you know, whatever. So I just started doing what I was told and showing up, and my gear would work. And, you know, at age 15, I had 7 old men buying me Jell-O all at once, so I was not good.
You were lousy with Jell-O.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's just the thing to me. And I come from a family, you know, of fiddle players. My father's father was one, and his father was one. Mm-hmm. And actually, yeah, I wasn't going to slip into too many heartfelt things. Maybe towards the end, I don't want to. You know, it's a tricky time right now, but
it's not tricky. Go for it. All we can do is show our hearts right now. I think, because otherwise, nobody else is going to see them.
Yeah.
Everybody's having such a hard time right now, and I totally get it. Everybody is. It's so seemingly dark, but I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I wanted to say thanks, and I've said thanks to you privately for this. You've been there some real seminal times in my life. You played at my wedding, but you were there when my father got sick, and when he was dying, and I moved home to help take care of him, and he was on his deathbed, and you came by and played fiddle for him, and any song he would holler out, any fiddle tune he could holler out, you played. And
I love that, Cory, and I love you, and I love your dad, and I really loved that somebody knew any fiddle tunes.
Oh yeah, because I sure as hell don't know. I mean, I'm just like, play that one that goes real fast, and I could never play. And that was just you have a special place in my family's heart, you know, from all that. And yeah, and the other thing we maybe talk about at the end, one of the best nights of my life. You introduced me to my hero.
All of those things. Let's tell them all of the rumors.
Oh yeah, rumors. That's just. I don't have that album. I only have Tusk. Let's see.
That's so masculine of you.
Maybe
Based on parts alone, Tusk. Of course you have Tusk. Why would you have rumors?
Mamie Sevier wanted to know what Mercy's favorite song of yours is. Sorry, just jump to a different thing.
Of whose? Of yours? She likes.
No. What Mercy's favorite song that you've written is?
Her favorite song I've written is Kudzu.
Has she reached the point where she doesn't want you to sing to her much anymore? Clem's like that. He's just like,
Well, we only sing to her at night when we read stories. Then we have this thing that Jason started a long time ago where you make up a story. So we have to read 3 stories. We have to make up 3 stories, and then she gets 3 songs. And she likes to avoid bedtime like everybody does. So she wants the songs to be the longest songs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. She's like, can you sing me that new Dylan song?
It's like 200 minutes long.
Yeah, one of my favorites was when we were, you had me out on a tour with you several times, and when you got your first tour bus, and they dropped it off at the drive to get ready for the tour. She went on it. She's like, "Mommy, I love your little bus. It wasn't as big as some of the other ones she's got." Jason has access to nicer buses. I was just like, that was the sweetest and the most barbed cut I've ever heard.
She'll always tell you where your place is.
Oh my God, I love it. Out of the mouths of babes. Let's see. Oi, the Billy wanted to know what was the hardest song that you've ever written, the hardest to pull together, and then conversely, what was the easiest that just happened? You got an example of either of those? Yeah. Easiest to have, you probably have a couple easiest. First, let me ask you yours. Because this is sharing. Oh, no, I just kind of wanted to throw out the questions. You just answer them real quick so I don't have to feel like I'm the only one sharing. Yeah, okay. Easiest was probably Tame, and then... That's the first song I ever played with you. Yeah? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Well, it isn't. And the hardest one, yeah, probably the vow from my father. Yeah. And now, back to you. Easiest one I've ever written was Parking Lot Pirouette. People love that. Someone asked about that earlier. I just spilled out like it was just like I dropped a drink. It was just like, blup, there it is. Oh, great line, too. I love that. Parking Lot Pirouette. I try to mimic everything you do. Figured it'd be something like you would write, so. It's not circle jerking here. There's only 2 of us. The hardest song would be... I had a really hard time writing the whole record, My Piece of Land. I was pregnant trying to write that record, and I was nervous that, because I was a woman that was pregnant and trying to tour, and running into the problems of folks thinking it was a liability to tour with a pregnant lady, or running into, everybody assuming that I'm just gonna, which I wouldn't. I think anybody who chooses to do what they do is great. You want to stay at home mom, that's fine. If you want to continue your career, you do it. Whatever, do you. But for me, I wanted to be a mom and do music. And so during this time, I was dealing with the ins and outs of that. And at this time, it wasn't even as far along as we are now, which is, tiny steps. But so writing My Piece of Land was really hard because I was already creating a baby, and so the creation, the art part, or the having something to say part was coming very hard for me. And then I don't know if it was just like I was tired all the time or what, or that I don't know. But I also at the same time felt like I had to have this record to done and made, so that way when I got
done with the early parts of momming, I would still have my career intact somehow. And so I guess the struggle was every single one of those songs. And then wondering if I would feel the same or even be into it later, because the mind changes so much with all those hormones and whatnot. So every song on that record was hard as hell, and that's why 2 of the songs are co-writes with Jason. He came in and helped me with Pale Fire and My Love the Storm.
Both great songs. I love that record. I did that. It was a special time in my life, and that record, yeah, listen to that record a lot.
Gave me all the headaches.
Well, you got a bonus superpower too when you were pregnant, not just the super mom powers. You were, I remember you saying, you're like, I'm singing better than I've ever sang. I remember you being like, I gotta get these vocals down. you're like, most people are like, oh, my hair looks really great. You were like,
and Dave kept reminding me, he's like, why is this all happening in one take or 2? And I was like, I don't know, maybe there's a diaphragm shift, I don't know, I'm no doctor.
Singing for 2. Yeah.
That's funny.
It came out great. Yeah, I love that song, Pale Fire. Especially that one's, it's one of those, you know, it sounds exactly like what you're saying, and that's so hard to do. Especially when you're saying something that is atmospheric and big, to paint an image of a plane. You know, it's like you can hear it, you can see it. That's, you know, yeah, it all came together real nice.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And it sounds different than all the other ones. Or all the other ones to me. It sounds the most different, sort of like internal, or, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, well, your records jump. I like that. You from song to song. I mean, there's, you know, there's some overarching themes lyrically a lot, but musically, they're very adventurous and, you know, real bold production. I always like looking forward to that, especially the last one. I was like, hell yeah, you got the pop jams going on that. And some people think that there's no good pop music, but I stand to argue. I think a lot of people, not all of them. Look at my cool ring light, Cory. I saw yours. Right. I got one right behind the thing. Oh,
I had to borrow mine from Kelly. But anyway, the pop jams, like that Weekend song, that song is good. It can be a country song. That hardest to love, try to let me go. Yeah, and I can see it. It's so good. If you don't like the production, that's one thing. Not all pop songs are good. There's a lot of them that suck. But that's true with any music, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know this song.
You don't? It's a Weekend.
I don't know what's going on. I bet Clem knows it. Hey, right. I like the Weekend, the stuff I've heard.
Well, I'll send you it. The Weekend also, there was a string version of his song on the last Westworld episode.
I watched that show.
The Wicked Game song, it's not the same as I Want to Fall in the Pool with You. And I want to fall in the pool with you. It's not the same as that. It's a different song, but it's all strings.
This is my favorite part of any show so far. I just kind of want to sit and just let you sing some songs. I'm like, I don't know that song. What is it? That Louie? How is that?
Oh yeah.
Can you sing a few bars?
Yeah, it's like a bitchy girl in a hot dog stand. Jonathan Richman. Isn't that chords? I'm the notorious lyric getter wronger. You know, Finda.
What's your favorite it's malapropism, right? That's what they call that when it's what's your favorite miss here on songs?
Well, I learned too this week because, you know, we've been doing this little show and learning some songs, you know, and I only learned from Jason the other day that I was singing Poncho and Lefty wrong the whole time.
What'd you get wrong? Is it just Poncho and Ricky or something like
that? No, I never thought that the federales were great, and it always bothered me. They weren't great, but he says gray.
You're like, he just blows character right there.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one, one is Unknown Legend. Cologne and steel she rides. I don't know why I thought that, but we were doing a run through of it before we played it, and I sang that, and he was like, "What the fuck are you singing?"
I don't want to hear it the other way now.
There's lots of them.
My favorite one was I used to date this girl, and her sister had colitis.
What the hell is that?
It's an intestinal thing, and a lot of times they cut your intestine, and it's much shorter. So it's a stomach thing, and she grew up thinking the Beatles song, the lyric was, "The girls with colitis go by," which is like the
colitis go by?
Colitis go by, like they just walk by. The girls with colitis go by.
Oh, colitis go by. Colitis go by.
Specificness here.
Yeah, I love it. Colitis go by.
Once they're written, we don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
It's just, public can do what they want now.
Yeah, I guess that's how it works, isn't it?
Somebody asked me, well, I guess a lot of these things lead into the Highwomen. So, somebody asked a simple question of which came first, the name. I know the answer on the name or the deciding to do that, to cover that song.
Oh, they came, I guess the truth is they came simultaneously, and I mean in the same, in a way, I guess when I was riding around away from my daughter thinking about how I wanted to start a group called the Highwomen, of course I thought we're going to have to do the Highwaymen version of Highwomen. And then that song we wrote, to me was supposed to be like if the record was a tree, it would be the, like, trunk, and all the other songs would be the branches, like, kind of like a reminder of the mission kind of thing, concept-y. But I never was a big fan of concept-y things, but now I think that might be a good thing for a person like me who gets all over the place. You know, because...
Having a skeleton, at least.
Yeah, but I also have this... There's some concept records I like and some that I don't really like, but...
Yeah, you can't let it overtake the... I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, my record's just... You know, whatever songs and however they want to say.
And as much as you talk shit about that Muhammad Ali one, the one with the gray cover, that one...
Oh, yeah. I like some of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
all that is awesome.
I can't listen to any of my music, but that's, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did the songwriting break up in, cause, I mean, what a group of ringers, you know? Like, did everybody sort of bring a couple to the table with that?
Well, it started out as, well, me and Brandi were the Highwomen, and it was like that if you build it, they will come kind of thing. We didn't have the whole band idea made up yet, and then we, you know, got Maren in and got Natalie in, and the whole time the idea was let the best song win, you know, and so
Thunderdome, yeah.
Yeah, so we would walk in and play our songs, and if basically, I guess we brought in our songs. Every day we'd bring in a song or two and then decide what we're doing. And then we'd send Dave our other demos the night before, and then he'd pick from that pile the ones that he felt like were the ones that he liked. Then we'd have the other process where we tried it out and, you know, in the room, because we recorded it all live, to see if it worked or if we could, if it sounded, you know, like it was meant for the group of songs. But at the same time, I kind of had this, like, outline of I didn't really want any, like, sassy songs. Like, there could be some sassy lines or whatever, but I wanted it to be stories of, and Brandi did too, sort of domestic and, you know, about real things outside of you know, love and unrequited love. I mean, and every song's love songs anyway, but it's not like the same things that traditionally in country music that we're supposed to sing, like cheating songs or gospel songs, or, you know, there could be elements of it, but yeah, so if it didn't fit into that little thing, then it had to be moved out. And there were some, we don't all agree completely 100% politically, so there was a few songs that didn't make it because of that, just because, like, we respect where each other's at, but we also have to respect what we want to sing and not sing.
Yeah, no, of course. And politically, you're just left of anarchist radicals. So, it's like,
yeah, I'm like, I want to tell you all about it too much too soon.
Yeah. Let's see.
Every time you move your hair, I'm going to move mine too.
Oh, don't do it. It's like I got to sit on my hands. It's the worst thing. Then touching my face, this has never been a worse time. I'm so spazzy. I've always been that way. You know that.
I think it's awesome.
So long.
If my hair was less damaged, I would be able to run my fingers through it.
We used to tour so far back together in that Town and Country minivan. That's when I had no air conditioning. We would pass the Ice Baby. Do you remember the Ice Baby? This is before we had real babies.
I love the Ice Baby.
For people that don't know what an Ice Baby is, it's when you have here's a life hack. Here's sort of a redneck life hack.
You take your shirt off.
Well, yeah, you got to get your swim trunks.
Yeah, you got enough to do that first.
Yeah, and you have no air conditioning in the car. You just go to the gas station, you buy a bag of ice, and that's your Ice Baby, and you pass it around the car. And so when there's 7 of you in there, you don't want to be the last person to get the Ice Baby. It's got brown tears
everywhere.
Really dirty, but it's a practical. It's a Martha Stewart trick, but
yes.
So yeah, so let's see. What else have people asked me? I have no idea where I was going with that. You realize there's no structure to any of this. We're just shooting the shit.
That's the best way. I love it. I don't need structure. I've never liked structure. All I need is to vape like a teen.
Oh, I got off.
Congratulations.
Just the worst. But
I didn't know people sold those anymore.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they do. But now I've just got cartons because I don't want to leave the house. So.
You got what?
Just cartons.
Okay.
Gross. I've never bought a carton of cigarettes in my life. Now this is a terrible thing to talk about. You're
gonna need a little.
I know.
Not PG, adult, nudity, cigarettes at the top.
People already commenting. No, don't do it. I know. Clem.
Susan, get off of here. You can't just follow people around, tell them not to cuss and smoke. This is
I heard about it, Susan.
We're gonna go from Corona, not smoking. Jokes.
So, one of the other things that I was wanting to thank you for were the bigger things in my life, and we can brush across this, or we can talk about it a little bit if you want. But you introduced me to my hero. The reason I started writing songs, Mr. John Prine, who we lost yesterday.
Yep.
And so as I was just a fan, and you were actually family, so we don't have to talk about it.
His family was his family. I'm just like outside family, but and
honorary uncle, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. But all of our heroes, and I remember a lot of those drives. You would do Fish and Whistle.
Oh yeah. I remember that too.
Yeah, and the Umbrella one. I really like how everybody has their favorite songs, and the cool thing about John is he was the same person on stage as he was off stage, and I think there's something to that in songwriting. Listening to people and hearing their stories, whether it be a waitress, he would listen to everybody and talk to all the fans after he got done with the show. He would if it was Saturday, he'd watch Saturday Night Live, eat chocolate cake, change his clothes, and if anybody was still standing outside, he'd go talk and listen and never lost touch, and I think that to me is probably why he was able to do such a. Tree of Forgiveness is an incredible record, and I'm so glad we have that record. But I don't know. Even when we were on tour and he was writing that record, we were talking about rhyme, and we were on planes a lot. He was like, "How do you all those books in your bag? Because I was working on my thesis and stuff. I was like, well, I only bring 2 books. I've got the rest on my phone. They're apps, you know. And so I helped him download the Rhyme Zone app, and then that's where he got a lot of that.
You know, what a...
I remember one time I saw him get served turkey meatloaf, and he loved meatloaf, but he I don't think he'd ever tried turkey meatloaf, but he acted like it was regular meatloaf, and he tried it, and he didn't finish it. Like, that was the kind of person he was. He was like, okay, I'll give it a whirl. It's supposed to be meatloaf.
Well, I would see him when I lived in Nashville. I would see him around, and it was always at the meet and threes. Like, I saw him at Arnold's. I saw him at, what's the other one? The Green...
Did you see him at the movies?
Oh yeah. It was so embarrassing because I never wanted to go up and just be that person, you know. So that was what was really great that you took me and made him on his 70th birthday.
When you told us that story, I was like, damn, what I would give to like be in a movie theater and watch John Prine with popcorn.
Well, he didn't have popcorn. I got in line behind him to see what he was going to get. I wasn't hungry, and of course he goes, I'll have some Twizzlers. I was like, it was so worth standing in line for that. And then I go and sit to watch the movie, and the movie's Capote, and him and Fiona sit, and there's nobody else in the theater, and he sits about 12 seats down from me, and I'm watching Capote, and I'm getting engrossed. It's a good movie, you know, and then every once in a while I hear him laughing really sort of under his breath at really dark stuff.
Oh, I love it. It is awesome.
We're just like, yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, he was like, my favorite record of his, you know, I love that Tree of Forgiveness, but I like that Diamonds in the Rough. What's yours?
Favorite? Well, see,
did I get the name of that right? I stayed up really late last night crying. Diamonds?
Yeah.
That's right. No, it's Diamonds. Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
It's perfect.
And now I'm doubting myself.
Okay, yeah. Sour grapes.
Par for the course of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started just within, I came late. Like, I was 24, almost 25, and it literally was the thing that made me start writing songs. When I heard his music, I was like, oh, shit, you can do this? I'm like, it can be poetry and still conversational and natural, and I couldn't be, you know, a more different person than him. He was so good. I mean, yeah. But the humor and the just easing people up just enough to sort of slip the knife in. Like,
that was amazing. And then I recorded a lot of our conversations, and he knows it. He didn't mind. But he was telling the story about how when he went into the army, he thought he was going to get stationed somewhere exotic like everybody else. And he got assigned to the field exactly across the street from where he worked, and he could throw a rock at it. I thought that was great. And then he went to Germany during NAMM, I guess. Anyway, we don't have to talk about all that.
Yeah.
He also had a lot of good jokes, like to run out of gas.
I love the video you sent me last night with on oysters and no gas.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was good.
So, let's see, what else?
What else?
I'm so brain dead today.
Are you? What are you doing while you're in quarantine?
I'm doing this. I'm doing, like, trying to, well, I still have to, you know, do the hustle to keep the fridge full, so I'm doing every once in a while, trying to do a live show. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to always have the tip jar out. So then
You have to. It's okay. I have my tip jar out every day.
Yeah. You are bringing quality entertainment.
So are you.
That show is so great.
It's not. It's an awkward thing to have a tip jar, but it's the same as having your guitar case open. People enjoy it, and then they'll help if they can, and they won't if they can't. And there's Music Cares is a big deal. They helped me when I broke my finger, pay my bills, and they helped. They helped Kelly with her teeth. They helped my bass player Macy. But they offer so much relief, and I know businesses like ours, small businesses, and bills aren't easy. So I don't know. I do, from my tip bucket, I put a portion to the Music Cares, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, and then your crew and everything. You got so many kids in your family. I'm doing a little thing of demos and stuff where I'm just putting out, little album demos every month, and we'll just see how long. But yeah, mainly,
awesome.
Yeah, but I'm doing this just to keep a social life, to keep busy and not go crazy, and hopefully.
To get dressed in clothes.
Yeah, to wear something other than my robe. Yes.
Exactly. We'd be just being in our bathrobes and never washing our laundry, and then wonder where our health went and our hygiene.
Yeah. So I'm buying ring lights and all that. So yeah, I want to point everybody to your show too. Is every day it's one of my favorite puns too. ISO lounging is very, very fantastic.
Is very good too.
And today's show, which will be up tomorrow on YouTube.
Oh, it's up. I just let it go live and leave it. I don't care. I make a fool of myself and cry on it every day.
Oh my God! It just goes up live. Oh, it's such a hassle. Thing posted live. This thing. I gotta talk to you. Figure that out.
Yeah, I've got some very good solutions, and where I live, internet is hard to come by.
Yeah.
We have to turn off everything, even undo power all around. You have that?
Memphis internet. Everything in this house is off right now.
Yeah, so I do it live every day, and it just goes on there. You can do it from your. We'll talk about this.
Yeah. What I want to tell everybody is today's show was. They're all great, but today's show was very special, very beautiful, and y'all told some heartwarming stories. And so, if anybody wants to hear more stories like that, they could definitely go there too.
Can I ask you a question, Cory? Can I call you about some songs I'm stuck on? I know you love helping people with their songs.
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
Okay.
I love bouncing songs off people too. I've been annoying people with that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
I did that with you on Eve's Daughter off of my last record. I was like, what do I do? You're like, I think it's done. I was like, I don't know. It seems unfinished.
No, it was good. It was already done. You didn't do anything else to it. You had it, right? I'm blanking about what you sent me and what it ended up being.
I think I probably added a summation that didn't do anything worth a damn, but I don't know. Who knows?
People need some.
Yeah.
We've got such terrible attention spans these days, myself included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no wrong summed up.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's changing now because of where we are right now. I don't know. It might only be for a second. Who knows?
Yeah. Someone wanted to know, McFadden 8334. I feel like I've never even listened to podcasts, and I feel like a podcast guy. Wanted to know your favorite collaboration.
Ever?
Yeah.
Does it just do they mean songwriting or playing with a person?
Whatever you think they mean. I don't even know.
I like that. Whatever you think they mean. I mean, I don't care what everybody thinks. My favorite things I've done is playing with you live, because you always got to live in the music and be with the animal that is music. Second favorite, I really enjoy that wildness that you have, and that's no lie. Favorite collaboration. I mean, I enjoyed John Prine helping me with the song that I tried to put on my last record. It didn't fit, but I'm going to find a way to make my next collection go with it. It was a little bit Glenn Campbell-y. So
oh yeah, I love it.
Then stick a Glenn Campbell song on it.
I love it. I've got a total Glenn Campbell jam that I wrote last year. It's like, I always explain the difference between late 70s country and Glenn Campbell stuff and the other stuff is, but just the difference between a G chord and a G major 7,
Yeah.
Putting that fancy church stuff note in there. But,
Sheryl Crow was awesome, and she still is. She's a beautiful human. Like, I love those kinds of people that are not like, I don't know, you think that are like a real, what you read about real famous people, sometimes they don't come off very nice, and then you meet them. Like I met Ricky Skaggs once, and he was an asshole. And then, but like, it's true.
There's the rumors you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, but then you meet folks like Sheryl Crow, and then you aren't so afraid to meet your heroes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you again soon. Seriously.
Yeah. Just call me later tonight.
Okay.
You see what I'm doing. You see what I'm doing.
You're doing great. I love all your special effects. I wish I had that.
Yeah, I got to edit those back in later. It was really hard to get Clint to do the sample.
Oh, man. You gotta lure him with candy or something.
He says it all day long. I don't know why it was a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You're the best. Oh, anybody that's watching this live,
I also want to say, I might have just caught him on a bad day. Sometimes you catch people and it's their bad day, and it shouldn't probably write him off all just because of that.
Oh, Ricky?
Yeah.
Oh, Ricky Skaggs?
Yeah.
Could have been a shit day for Ricky. Could have
Who knows?
Broke a mandrel in the strength.
I'll give him another chance.
Well, thank you for doing this. I was going to tell everybody that's watching, if you go to Brian Fallon's Instagram, he's got a new thing he's starting tonight right after this. It's 7 Central. He's got Lily Hyatt on.
Oh, snap. Her record, yeah, I say snap. My daughter says it. Her new record rules.
Yeah, it's great. It's a hell of a rock record. So, yeah. Y'all, thanks for joining me. Thanks, man. You're the best.
You got to get Jason on here.
Yeah, I'll do it.
If you want.
That I want. Okay.
He won't sit in front of the ring light, but I can try and make him.
He writes the songs. Yeah, he just put the ring light right here, just behind his head. Like,
yeah, I can
old
put
fresco.
This same ring light we had John Prine when we had Jason's 40th birthday party. I just remembered this. Sorry, but it's that kind of.
I got nowhere to be. Literally here.
So we had a camera set up like wherever it goes. And I was telling John, we gotta go stand over here and get our picture taken. And he was like, what the hell is that, a toilet bowl? Like, the top of a toilet?
It could be once, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. So forever known as the toilet lid thing.
Well, on that note.
Love to your family, I'm sure you're eating well.
Oh my God, so spoiled. Squeeze everybody for me.
Will do. Love you.
It's all over.